So a national lockdown in the UK. What does that mean for the job support scheme that was meant to be starting, well, today? Check out this video as I go through all of the updates. Hi everyone, my name is Simon Mishevich from Optimize Accountants. I'm here to help you grow your wealth whilst reducing your tax liability. And in this particular video, I want to talk about the job support scheme, which again has been updated. This is take 3 of this new scheme that's meant to be starting. Now, you would have seen a video that I talk about the job support scheme and your 61% or 61.67% funding from the government. Do check out that video because I go through some essential details. It's worth just refreshing your mind on what I said in that video. The link will be appearing above my head and below this video. I've recently, as in today, also provided you with another video talking about the job retention scheme, otherwise known as furlough, and that video will be appearing above my head and below this video as well. Please do note, I am not going to be expressly talking about the furlough scheme in this video. So if you want to know more about that one, please do check out that link for furlough. I have written an article and updated the job support scheme article on our website. Again, the link will be appearing above my head and below this video. Make sure that you do read upon that. Now, if you want to build your wealth whilst reducing your tax liability, despite this pandemic that we face ourselves in, or you want to ask me questions about the job retention scheme, furlough, coronavirus as a whole, maybe not coronavirus as a whole, I'm not a medic, but you, from a financial perspective or tax perspective, I can help you, especially when it comes to grant funding. There may be some advice that I can give to you. That will be done on the online portal where I will be live every single Wednesday to help you. So make sure that you take advantage of the 28-day free trial. Again, the link will be below this video, so do check that out. Now, whilst we're going through the job support scheme, the one thing I would emphasize you do is you as an employer, you as employees, or indeed you as HR specialists and ACAS need to work together to understand what this furlough really means. What are your rights as an employer? What are your rights as an employee? And how can the HR specialist and ACAS help you both, as in employer and employee, understand what those rights are and indeed make sure that you act accordingly whilst getting financial support from the government. Now, the one thing I would stress to you is that the job retention scheme was meant to end on the 31st of October, and the job support scheme was meant to kick in on the 1st of November, which is today because I'm releasing this video nice and early for you. Now, I'm going to get to my laser pointer just so I don't lose track and you don't lose the will to live. So the first bit I would say is that the job retention scheme did indeed end on the 31st of October. Why am I saying that if it's extended? Well, do check out that video for more details. But this the job retention scheme in November is more generous than the one that was in October. So that's why for me, it's new. It might be an extension, but how can it just be an extension when it's an improvement? So for me, it's a replacement. And then we are going to enter this job support scheme from December 2021. One would have thought so, right? I mean, we've got to wait and see. Now, the key dates for this job support scheme is going to be starting from the new date of the 1st of December 2020. It will end, maybe, on the 30th of April 2021. Eligibility is that staff needs to be working shorter hours due to lack of demand for this job support scheme or not at work at all. And they will get this 33% funding. So basically what will happen is that there was a requirement, I'll scrap that kind of what I just said actually, because the one thing I would want to stress to you is that the government initially said that staff need to be working 33% of the time to get this kind of support. Well, that's not going to be the requirement at all, because ultimately the staff member could just work 20% of the time. So if they were working full time, Monday to Friday, they would only have to work 1 day. So that's really important to know. Now, employers would, ultimately, they still would pay employees for the time they work. So if employees worked 1 day per week, you would expect the employer to pay them. And that's not uncommonly knowledge. Now, the other side to it, employers would have to pay the 5% not worked as well. There was expectation that it was going to be 33%, but the government have pulled back on that to say now the employees will only have to pay staff members this 5%. Indeed, there is a cap of £125 as well. So even then, there is going to be a reduction of what the employers have to pay employees. Now, the government will step in. So not only will the staff members get the time that they've worked, they'll also get a 5% from the employer, but they'll also get 61.67% not worked by the government as well. But there is, again, a cap of £1,541.75. Now, if you want to book a tax consultation with us at Optimize Accountants, then you can do so. The link will be appearing above my head, right here, and below this video description as well. Make sure that you use the code YouTube25 to enable you to get that 25% discount whilst getting the best support possible to help you go through this period. Now, if you are a property investor and you want to understand our accountancy services or indeed book a tax call, the links again will be appearing above my head and below this video description. So let's talk about the job support scheme and what that really means in terms of this payment. Now, ultimately what will happen is that we've got an annual salary across the top and then a pro rata below that. This is the first example we're going to go through for someone that is being paid a salary of £30,000. Now, the employer will be, due to lack of demand, once we go into this job support scheme, will be expected to employ them for 1 day per week on a full-time basis, Monday to Friday, or 20% of the time. Now that means that the employer will pay the employee £6,000, which means that there's unworked period on an annualized basis of £24,000. On a monthly basis, that just basically equates to £2,500 is the normal pay for the employee, and £500 will be coming from the employer, which means that the employee is now looking at this unworked hours equivalent to £2,000. Now, from an employer perspective, what this really means is that the person is being paid 20% of the time. So from this basis, it's £6,000 per annum or £500 per month. Now, they have to contribute an extra 5% of those salaries to the employee for the time not worked. So in this regard, we've got £1,200, which is equivalent to £100. The total employer contributions are therefore £7,200 on an annualized basis and £600 on a monthly basis. Now, from an employee perspective, we now need to try and cobble all this up together. So the employer, you listening into this video, will be paid 20%, which is £6,000 on an annualized basis or £500 per month. The government step in with a 61.67% if you round it up, and that's on £14,800.80 on an annualised basis, but £1,233.40 on a monthly basis. There's a lot of numbers. You can see it on the screen, so hopefully it's not too bad. The employer will also make a contribution to that unworked hours for you. On an annualised basis, that's £1,200, £100 per month. In total, it's £22,200 on an annualised basis or £1,833.40 on a monthly basis. Now, if we look at it in this yellow box down below, my brand manager will be most upset with me calling it yellow. That said, basically what will happen is that the wages per month remains unpaid at 27%. So they will be getting a bulk of the time. So even though they're working 20% of the time, only losing out on 27%. So it's not great, but it's not the end of the world either. Let's talk about the example, though, of someone who is paid a salary of £60,000. Again, in this example, we've got the employer that will ask them to work 1 day of the 5, or indeed just 20% of the time, which is equivalent to £12,000. Unworked is £48,000 on a monthly basis, therefore you can see those numbers there. Now, from the employer's perspective, if you look at it from an annualized perspective, that 20% payment would be £12,000, which is per month is £1,000. Now, please do note that the employer will also make this 5% contribution, but the key thing to note here is that it's been capped at £125. So even though, if you look at it from a monthly basis, the employer contribution is, or the time worked is £1,000. If you look at it from a 5% of those, like the actual gross salary, it should be £200, but it's been capped at 125, so it's minimalised. So the total cost to the employer is £1,125. What does that mean for the employee, or you as the employee? Now, I'm going to just look at it from a monthly basis, but you can see the annualized numbers. I don't want to shout out too many numbers here because there's so much information here. But from an employee perspective, on a monthly basis, you would be receiving £1,000 based on the time you've worked. Now, the government will step in with this 61.67% rounded up contribution. Now, that, based on your salary, should be £2,466.80, but we know that there's a cap in place. So the government will only pay £1,541.75. We also noticed from the previous slide that the employer will pay this 5% of time as well, but there's a cap in place for that too, at £125. So it does mean that the employee will receive £2,666.75 rather than the calculated number above. In essence, what this does mean is that the employee in this regard will have £2,333.25 unpaid, which in effect is 47% of those salaries will not be paid to that employee. Now, please do note, the higher salary you have, the greater sacrifice you will have. So it's really, really important for you to understand these calculations as much as the employer. So please do not just assume that the numbers are correct. Please do go through it a fine-tooth comb. Now, as an employer, there is an extra benefit. There is the job retention bonus of £1,000. This is basically means that you have to keep your staff on. Now, you can place a staff member on furlough, but you cannot sack them or make them redundant or any other type of fashion that takes them off your books. So you have to keep that employee on all the way through now until the 31st of January 2021. The bonus of £1,000 is per employee rather than £1,000 for the employee as a whole. So it's £1,000 per employee. And the time frames for this is 15th of January 2021, in which you can make this application all the way through to the 31st of March 2021. From the comments box below this video, please do tell me your story. I appreciate that we've now got some time because of the furlough scheme that's been introduced for November. But come December, we need to be all ready. So, you as employers, are you ready? Are there any questions that you have? As employees, are you speaking with your employers, making sure that you understand your rights and understand exactly how much money you will be receiving? Please do engage with me on this channel. Don't forget to like this video if it's proven useful to you, and to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any future videos that I will be releasing. Until next time, my name is Simon Mashevich from Optimizer Accountants. I shall see you all again soon. Thank you.